welcome you guys. We got a lot of good stuff going today, and it is we've got a lot of people still coming in. Welcome, welcome. So just to kind of go over a few things. This is called Becoming a Wise Agent, and my name is Brandon Wise. I'll be the host today. This is the podcast that we bring experts from around the country in to kind of give advice and share advice. But as we're sharing advice, I will be jumping in and sharing my screen here and there just to show you some of the tools that go along with the advice. We have not had anyone from the title industry on, and so these guys today, our guests, we have Bobby Tarango with over 35 years of experience, and Mike Arias with over 25 years of experience. So these guys have done it all. They've been in the industry for a long time, and they've seen all the different markets. But the title of today's is the 2025 Real Estate Roadmap: Trends, Tools, and Tactics for Success. And that's, we're just going to kind of be all over the board on getting this year going right for you all. And when you don't have anything going on, when it's negative 3 degrees, this is what you should be doing: is working on, you're sitting inside, getting knowledge, but getting the plan down and working on your systems. So one of the questions we got over and over again are, what are the top trends that you see shaping the real estate market right now for 2025, and where do you see it going? I would like to hear from you guys.
As we go from office to office, it's these last couple of years have obviously been a lot tighter. We've been to several meetings, and Mike and I've been in, and we'll say some brokers will tell us, there's been the least amount of transactions done in the United States in the last, either 20 or 30 years. That may be true. That is, and I don't know if we're going to see a big bump this year. I think Tom Ferry was quoted saying, hey, I think we're going to see a 12% uptick in more deals. We probably have nowhere to go, but because there's still a lot of pent up demand. The only thing holding us back right now are those interest rates. Because we hear on a daily basis that's holding people back, or there are people in escrow and they're falling out of escrow just because the interest rate changed. And that's a challenge that everybody's gonna have to deal with. And I told everybody, saying, if knowing at the beginning of January, knowing what this year is going to be, you can't change it. The only thing you're going to be able to change is what you do. That's the only way that's going to change what the equation is going to be at the end.
I love that. Yeah. And I think that's what a lot happened at the end of 2024. A lot of people were paralyzed, waiting for everything to play out and waiting. And we can't wait around. You've got to keep on going, go through the motions, doing the things you guys all know you need to do, even when the times are down, because that's what's going to create this business.
One of our mentors, sorry, Mike, just one of our mentors that told us, Mike and I, his name is Bob Thompson. One of the things he told us was the most important thing is the activity, the actual activity, the prospecting and getting the attempts, the actual attempts of getting in front of people. That's super important, the numbers.
Yeah, and then so I think we were at that same conference, Brandon. We were there at the in Vegas. What was it, 2021? I think Inman Connect. Yeah. And it was the same thing from Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com. They all had the same message. And their message was very clear. And they said specifically, if agents kept in contact with their sphere, their past clients, we, Trulia, Realtor, Zillow, would not be in business. We would not be in business if everybody kept in contact with their people. But the reason why they are so successful is because nobody keeps in contact with their people. Give you an example. I purchased a home out in, I think it was 2016, out in Havasu. I didn't know anybody out there. Get on Zillow, find the agent, and she runs a big team out there. She gets me to her buyer's agent, which that's the way it should work, right? If you got a structured team, the agent that's spending the money sends me to the buyer's agent. Buyer's agent contacts me. I go out there, look at the home, purchase the home. And in about 2 years, my daughter starts playing club volleyball. And we're going all over the place. So we can't use the place as much. And I said, you know what, let's just sell this thing. Well, it jumps $100,000 in 2 years. And I said, you know what, the agent, the agent that was my buyer's agent never contacted me. And I don't blame her, because she's probably just running around the buyer. The team lead I'm her client. She should have been contacting me, talking to me, marketing me, nurturing me, right? Never sent me one thing in 2 years. I said, I'll be damned if I give her another commission. Why would I, if you're not going to spend 45 cents, 55 cents on me, why am I going to go back to you? And, CAR, NAR did all the statistics, how many people would reuse their client, how many people actually reuse the realtor. And the percentage is so low because nobody stays in contact with these people. So, we can talk about all these new trends and new stuff. The agents that have been in the business for years have a great database. It all goes back to that database. And people hear it all the time, but people still don't want to do it. So had that agent had marketed to me, had talked to me, had nurtured me over the last couple of years, there's no doubt. Like I said, I can't even remember her name. I know she was a KW agent out there in Havasu, but I can't even remember her name. And that is part of that statistic too, that clients cannot remember the realtor's name. They can remember the brokerage that they were at, but they can't remember the name because there was never any marketing done to it. And that's something that we teach as agents come into business, or agents that are have been in the business for years. I had an agent a few years ago, and she's like, I said, well, how's your database look? Do you have your past clients? Do you have your friends and family, everybody in there? She's like, no, everybody knows where I'm at. And I was like, well, you think they do, but how many deals are you missing? And she's like, well, I haven't talked to them in about 15 years. So I don't want to say, hey, I forgot about you the last 15 years. What do I do? So I said, well, let's do that, a little card that says, celebrating 15 years, 15-year anniversary in the industry. She's like, perfect. Gather her database up together. We get everybody on the spreadsheet, send out a marketing piece. 6 deals within 2 weeks come from this thing of people are like, I was wondering where you were at. Where have you been? I didn't know you were still in the business. Back then, 5, 6 years ago, social media wasn't as big. Maybe it was about 7 years ago. But like I said, that little marketing, that little mailing thing, man, is a big, big deal in the database. If you don't have a database, I mean, this is just a hobby for you. Don't call it a career. It's not a career. If you don't have a database that's well maintained, well nurtured, it's not a business. You cannot call this a business. And this business will give you anything you want. It'll frustrate the hell out of you because you can't get the machine rolling, or it'll make you a massive career, right? A very successful career. And again, we have all those different agents. Not everybody wants to be a #1 top producer. But like I said, that's one of our main practices we always go to. You start there because agents want to go, well, let me farm over here. I want to farm over there. I want to pull people that are in the military. I want to look at people that have all these different demographics, right? That's great and that's fine. But when they reach out to you and they come and talk to you and you cannot put them anywhere to maintain them and keep track of these people, don't spend the money. And I tell them, don't waste my time trying to figure out a farm, and don't waste your time or your money or your family's money, because all you're doing is throwing that in the trash. There is no value in doing any type of marketing if you do not have a database. Don't even think about it. And that's something we've preached for years and years and years. So a lot of our clients do have databases. They got well-maintained databases. And like I said, it produces over and over and over for years.
Just to expand on that, what that statistic also says is that the 90% of them actually say they would use that agent again, but they can't remember who they were because they didn't stay in touch. And so even if it wasn't a great experience, they still mark down, yeah, it wasn't that great, but I trust him. I would use him again. But then you don't stay in touch. And so over and over, you guys have heard this. If you've been in the industry at all, anytime, you got to stay in touch. But and it's actually really easy. And maybe it sounds almost too easy and you don't do it, but just know most of your competition is not doing it. So that one little thing of staying in touch consistently, and consistently is the key word. That's what's going to set you apart. And we have so many people write in and say, how do I generate business without buying it? And how do I get started as a new agent, or how do I start building my business without putting a lot of money? That's how. You already have a database, and it should be in your CRM, your contact relationship manager, like Wise Agent. And now we make it easy for you to use the tools and just send out the emails, the text messages, the newsletters, but you actually have to do it. And that's where we see so many people wanting, know they need to do it, but they don't take the time. And so that's also where you can set up the automation. And I'll kind of go over some of that in a little bit to help you get it done. but just getting your name out, and it can be very simple. You can do postcards, you can do emails, you can do text, phone calls, but it should be a little mix. But if you do a little bit, you're going to be doing more than your competitors. And I just saw Terry Litzinger in here. He said he's just closed over $1.5 million in the last 6 weeks, all from clients that he sold homes to over 18 years ago. So he's doing it right, staying in touch. And so I love that.
One of the things that people forget is that when we enter this business, I mean, because when I run some farm classes, because Chicago Title, we have lots of programs. We got lots of programs to do some farming, and we're not saying it's the wrong thing to do. We're not saying it's the wrong thing to do, because we push a lot of that stuff down, and we'll show anybody, hey, do you want to farm here? Let's put some data together. But only it's a complex thought and an expensive execution. It really is, unless there's some thought put into it. And a lot of times we forget when we come into this business, especially with some people that have never been in sales before, that we are salespeople. I know some people don't, well, I don't like to think of myself as a salesperson. We are salespeople, and we have to act like what salespeople do. And when I tell people, I said, listen, like Mike says, if you're not putting your sphere of influence, people and contacting them immediately in that database, you're breaking the first rule of sales. And that's what Mike and I in the title business, we know the unfortunate thing for us, we're B2B. Our business is B2B. We know where all those agents are at. So those are our relationships we're running around and dealing with. It's when you first come in as a real estate agent, it's kind of a needle in a haystack. I got to find the people who are thinking about selling. But before you do that, just we understand it's a relationship business. Foster the ones you already have first. I think last year, Mike and I talked to a couple of our agents and say, we can do a farm for you, but you've been in the business a while. It's been like a minimum. Everybody that actually put their database and send something out got a minimum of 3 deals. Minimum of 3 deals. It's like magic. But that's what salespeople do, though.
So the other question, Brandon, question would be when people go and they say, well, I just moved here. I don't know anybody here, right? That's a great angle to look at it too, because where do I start? Okay, so, and I always tell people, look, if you don't want to spend the money, or you don't have the money right away to go to Wise Agent, for instance, and get the database rolling, an Excel spreadsheet works great, right? I got name, address, city, state, zip, email address, because eventually when I build that up, then I'm going to be able to merge that Excel spreadsheet into Wise Agent and then grow with it, right? The problem is people go, yeah, I got my database. I got it all right here. Or some people still roll a Rolodex. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, right? This is 2025. We have to get it digital. Digital meaning on an Excel spreadsheet at minimum. So if I'm a brand new agent, I have no contacts here, I could start sitting open houses, right? Open houses is a great way. But again, if I don't have the database and 10 people walk in the door, what am I going to do with those people? I have to get them in a database so I can stay in touch with these people. I have to continue to market these people because they're not ready to do something right now, but they're going to do something eventually. 1-2 years down the road, the only way I could stay in contact with these people is if I have them in a database. And again, now we get into programs like the Wise Agent, like you're talking about. And now the flags start popping up. Hey, John Smith from a month ago came in so-and-so house, reach out to him again, right? So all these flags start popping up. Automatic drips go out. Automatic voicemails go out, right? We talk about all that stuff. Your guys' automatic text messaging platform that you have. All these things, this technology today is made for agents to do way more stuff with way less time. It's not going to take me, I don't have to sit there and text 100 people. One text message generally pushed out to somebody, and then I'm off going and doing whatever. I'm playing around the golf, I'm doing something. You have to be making contact. And these platforms that are out there, like Wise Agent, is able to let me do that stuff with one click, one voicemail, one drop, and going off and doing my thing, whatever I want to do. If I got to go to Disneyland that day with the kids, something's got to go out to these people, right?
Yep. And people are asking about tools. So I'm just going to show you a couple of things.
Yeah.
I share my screen here, so you can see, and we'll jump right in. Can you see Wise Agent right now?
Yeah.
I just logged in. So I just logged in. If you haven't been on the inside, this is just the dashboard right when you get in, where you're able to see all your commissions, your numbers, your day planner. As you scroll down, you can see the recent leads, the tasks, everyone you need to call that day, your transactions, and any other important dates. So that's just on the front page. When you log in every morning, you're getting an overview of a lot of different things, your appointments, the tasks, the calls you're going to make. And that's kind of how you get the system going. Even when you're not motivated, it will tell you what you need to do. But as far as staying in touch, we have so many tools to make it easy. And a lot of people have told us for $49 a month, just the newsletter alone is worth that. And then you'll hear, you can hear a whole group of agents and brokers out there that'll tell you newsletters don't work. I tried it. And then you'll hear the other half say, man, I pay YZ every month just for the newsletter. And that's the only thing I do. And I've been in business for 20 years. And so they're both right. They don't work unless you send them consistently, and they don't work when you send 2 or 3 or even 4. But it's after you start getting it going every month, the consistency. And I'm going to show you. So over here on the left, if I click on marketing, since we're talking about newsletters, it's as easy as just going to our newsletter, clicking on the month it is. You can choose your designations if you want, and then we create a newsletter for you, ready to go, you guys. And you could take this and you can create your own. Put hours in and make your own custom newsletter, and they work amazing. You could take ours and you can edit it and add your listings to it, or change things out, and we'll help you do that. And those work great. Or you can simply send it just as is with your information on it every month. And guess what? It will work. So it's just a matter of, and sometimes they don't even open it, but they see your name and your face coming in consistently. And it makes me think of when he mentioned Keller Williams. Way back, Gary Keller wrote a book called the I can't remember the name of the book now. The 33 touches. Yeah, but the whole key was 8 touches in 8 weeks, because it takes them 8 times just to remember your name. And so set something up where this is something that is ongoing. And then there's a lot of tools like that. You could set up drip campaigns, and you need to have drip campaigns set up. And this is a time saver. So when it's -3 degrees, you could be in here writing your content, getting everything ready. So then when you go hold an open house, or if you're buying leads, or when you meet someone at the grocery store or at church or at the gym, you have different campaigns set up that is going to kind of talk to those people in the ways that they need. And so and you can go in and set up as many different campaigns as you want, but they're always there. And it just makes it easy when you meet new people to add them right in to the campaigns. And we also have, of course, AI is a big thing right now. So if you're needing help writing the content, you just go click on the create content button. You can create text or emails, because the drip campaigns can be a mix of text and email. And then you can go into our stock content and just grab whatever's there, and then you can edit it and make it really user friendly for you, or you can kind of use it as is. It's just ideas out there, but there's all kinds of content. It's easy to edit, and we'll help you and add images, add buttons to it. But that's a great way to things that you can be doing when you're not busy creating that content for those times when it does get busy. Now you're always staying in touch, and you're not just kind of taking people out and then getting back trying to get business. Take people out, and you need to be keeping the business going and talking to all your past deals throughout the years as you go. And one more thing I'll show you real quick while we're over here under the marketing. Mike mentioned open houses, and that's an amazing thing to do if you're trying to get business going, is start holding open houses and having conversations. And everyone that walks in, like you said, they should go in your database. But if you're just doing it the old school way and not using the technology, you've got a pen and paper, and as they walk in, they're signing up. And then when you get home tired that night, you're going to have to read all the names and transfer them into your CRM. Instead, go into Wise Agent. We've already created landing pages for you, and you use your iPad or use a laptop and have that there. And as people come in, say, hey, the owner's requested you sign in before you tour. And now you can get a lot more information. But the really cool thing is, whatever they say on here, when they hit submit, it's already part of your CRM. So now their information, they are now a contact in your database, and now they're categorized that you met them at an open house. And if you already have the campaign set up, which you should before you even hold the open house, when they walk out, they start getting the text, "Hey, thank you for stopping by." And tonight they'll get an email from you saying, "Hey, it was great meeting you today." And that's how you start these relationships and start getting your name and face in front of them as the professional in your office. And we have lots of different styles. So if you've got a listing coming soon, you can create landing pages for that just to kind of get it out there and promote it. There's things for brokers to get, recruiting resources. So all kinds of landing pages ready to go. Even some on there just saying, "Hey, help me get to know you better. Can you I'm new in real estate. I want to see what you're about, and give me some of your information." You'll be surprised how many people will fill it out for you and enter all their information into your database without you even having to do the work, just by sending those things out. So that was just some of my quick thoughts as Mike was talking about those things, that the technology is there to make this all easy for you. And if you set it up once, then it's just a matter of putting them in the right category and hitting go, and then it will stay in touch for you. And it works. You'll just, all of a sudden you'll get replies on your text or your email, and you'll be, "Oh, they're replying to my newsletter I sent last week," and that's what you see.
I got clients that'll set up the campaigns too, like if they got a buyer or they got a seller, potential buyer, whatever it may be. That a lot of these guys, they want to put their hooks in them, right? So this thing will automatically, once they set that person up on one of their campaigns, let's say for a seller, potential seller, they went there, gave them a home evaluation. There's going to be an email, a text message that's going to go out within the next 3 hours after the meeting. The next day, they're going to get a phone call and an email. They're going to hit them 7 or 8 times in the first 3 or 4 days just to hammer these people, right? But it's set up in the campaign for them. So all they do is click a button for the potential seller, and the campaign starts running the machine, right? Same thing with a buyer. They got different setups for that. But that's the benefit of graduating from the Excel spreadsheet into the CRM like Wise Agent, to be able to just dial everything in. Because people get another question too. They're like, "Well, no, I want to get an assistant, but when do I get an assistant?" Well, you get an assistant when your business is starting to run itself, right? Through a CRM program, because now the tasks that are popping up, the agent gets paid to meet people and negotiate contracts. That's what you get paid for. You don't get paid to push paper. All that other stuff, the marketing pieces, all that other stuff, as those tasks are coming up, that's what the assistant will be working on, right? That is what the idea of the CRM is to do. But if we don't have that machine set up, then you're fumbling around like, "Okay, what am I going to give my assistant to do today? Can you go pick up my dry cleaning?" Yeah, that's, we can get that done too. But what are these tasks that are falling by the wayside? So important to be done.
One of the things, we discovered, Brandon had to bring my attention, where Mike and I use this for our email campaigns and text. We try to be very mindful about what we're sending out. Obviously we're in the title insurance business, and there's nothing, it's not too sexy, but I mean, there's some there's some things that are a problem right now. I mean, we really have a big problem in our industry right now with a lot of title fraud, people stealing people's land. And that's important. That subject line is so important that we have to put that in there. I think I put an article together, just fraudsters might be stealing your land, and just to get the people to open that stuff up, it's got to be some relevant content. We don't like to use the text too much unless we got something we really want to push out there, because you don't want to get blocked. But that somebody was talking to me one time about emailing, and he says, if you get these two people that these servers talk to each other. So like if you're Yahoo, AOL, Gmail, and this person don't open up your email, and this next person it sends to is just automatically going to go to spam. So again, it's got to be relevant content. And like I said, there's not a lot of stuff to talk about in our title industry, but right now there is a lot of stuff right now. There's a lot of stuff going on because the consumer's starting to become a little more aware of what's what title insurance is, because the problems they're creating for themselves are just immense right now. And we're trying to tell them that we're getting more calls from consumers now because some of the content we're putting out, like for instance, hey, anything that attaches to your name also attaches to the property. So now we're getting people, hey, what does that mean? And what's happening with the people stealing property? What's title insurance's what is our value there? That's where we go and protect. But again, it's been a hell of a platform for us to get the word out of, again, with title insurance and escrow. But not everybody has escrow across the state. We're one of the few states that have escrow, and it's a little bit different here in California, and it's even different here in Southern California where we're located.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
Brandon,
basically what they've done is they've made themselves the expert in title, and that's exactly what you all need to do, becoming the expert in your neighborhood or your local market in real estate. And so as you put these interesting emails out, it's gonna prompt questions from your database. We're getting a lot of email questions about what happens when they unsubscribe, or how do you get them, let them know. So we already have all that figured out for you all. We with Wise Agent, we've been doing this so long. We're one of the few CRMs that allows our members to send 2,500 emails every day, because we've built up our sendability to a level where we're allowed to pump out millions of emails a day, because we're doing it right. And so with that, when someone wants to unsubscribe, if you send something that they feel is spam, they're going to hit the unsubscribe button. Don't let that hurt your feelings. Sometimes it might be someone that you know, and that's a perfect time for you to reach out and say, "Hey, I didn't mean to upset you." And a lot of times they say, "I didn't even know I hit the button," and we can always go back and make it unsubscribe. You just let us know, and we'll turn it back on. But it's just and sometimes they didn't really, it's just it gives you an excuse to call them, or maybe they really did mean to hit it and you don't even know them. That's good. You don't need to waste your time marketing to them anymore. Just let them go, because you're always adding to that. The other thing I saw Grace was asking about is, how do I make sure my emails, when I send to people with Gmail, they're going in the real inbox and not the promotion box? And there's not a great way to do that. You have to make your subject line, the email, the more opens you get, but also when you're talking to someone, like if I'm doing a transaction, especially if you're an agent, you're sitting there with them and you've got your laptop open, and tell them right now, hey, I'm going to be sending you a lot of email right now, and then for the rest of my life, so I'm going to send you one right now, and you help them just drag it over the inbox and say yes, and then it'll go in there every time. So you can coach them, you can be on the phone and tell them how to do it, but also people know. And so if you start sending good educational or things they feel important, they know how to drag it from the update to the inbox, and they will. And the way that, we all know how Gmail works now. And so we check our update box frequently as well, if that's where we see important emails going. So it works out if you're sending quality email or stuff, content that people actually care about. And that's a key to it.
Yeah, the other one real fast is another great statistic too, is from turning a contact into a client. On average, as they say, the statistics are, it takes 14 months to turn a contact into a client. So again, the only way you're going to get to that 14-month mark is through a database, through a drip system, keeping in contact with these people. We can't, we're going to spend, a lot of time just keep talking about database, because again, that is the main foundation to this business. It has to happen, because the statistics tell you, like I said, I went through it myself in Havasu. You see it happen all the time. And then I got agents that use all these different types of analytics and programs and stuff too. And they're, same thing. If you look at, I used to build a spreadsheet where it would have, and actually I think you just showed it on the Wise Agent, where, at the end of the year, they could see a pie graph of where their business came from. Did it come from cold calls? Did it come from door knocking? What did it come from? Past clients, sphere of influence? And across the board, you see it happen all the time. Everybody, I would say everybody that have ever done that spreadsheet and filled it out, the majority of their business comes from their sphere of influence. Again, whether they are nurturing and talking to these people, that is where this business is coming from.
And yeah, that's so true. We hear the same thing, and we're in the database business, and over, the way that people are building their sphere is they're getting involved in the local community. So if you go to church, don't just go to church and not talk to people. Talk to people around you. Get in the groups. If you're a hiker, join some hiking groups. There's probably already a local Facebook group for your neighborhood or for your community. And you should be in that. And if you're in it, you know some of the names that talk a lot, so you can become one of the educators in there about real estate, and people will start reaching out to you on social. but get the any kind of groups. If we have an Elks Lodge below us. We got AMVETS clubs. We've got clubs for everything in town. And what happens when you get in these little groups is it forces people. You end up meeting people, and while you're hiking, you guys have lunch afterwards. And if they don't start it, you start it. Hey, what do you do for a living? And before you know it, the question is going to come right back to you, and you can say, "Oh, I'm a realtor. If you ever have any questions, I'm always happy to help." And it's just something that easy, and you add them to your database and start sending your newsletter. And it works, you guys. And then in these groups, you become known as the local realtor. And even if there's already a lot of competitors, you could separate yourself because you're face to face and you're building your business, getting out there, being local. And we see that work over and over again. The open houses is getting out there, same thing, touching people.
One of the questions we had. Oh, go ahead, Bob.
The one of the things I was going to say, Mike and I are out and about all the time, and we're doing a social media thing, but we're out there, everybody's like to say we're out there shaking hands and kissing babies, and yeah, because man, you guys are everywhere. I said, yeah, I go, here's the thing about it. We know, again, like I said, we know where you guys are at. But one thing you always don't have a title. You always don't have a title holder. I know that. But the one thing you're not going to do, I'm not going to let you forget me. When you have a title holder, I need you thinking of me. And I tell people, when you send out that card, make no mistake. I've never seen a card make anybody sell a piece of property. That's impossible unless you got something incredible on it. But that card is meant to catch those people that are thinking about it. Again, so you're top of mind. Again, with our relationships, that's again, if you're not fostering your relationships, that's you're breaking the rules of sales. And just being on your social media, a lot of times people just say, yeah, people know on my social media. No, they don't. I was talking to an agent one time, does an incredible business. And I was talking about, we were talking about farming and whatnot. And he said, I asked him, how's your database? Because I don't really have one, but he's really good about data. He brought it up, man, he brought up the data really fast. And he started like, oh, shoot, this person sold, this person sold, this person sold without him. So he changed it pretty fast.
Yeah, and actually, as you mentioned, cards. That's something that we're hearing right now. Where everyone is all into how am I going to build my business with social media? How am I starting a podcast? Back to the basic type things work, and what Bobby just said, the postcards. You guys, if you haven't looked in the postcards, they make it so easy now. We're tied right in with Express Docs. I got it right from Wise Agent. So it's already got your database in, and you can go pick out, let me see, under the personal marketing, any kind, if you want to send out any holiday cards or recipes or back to school or sports, it's all done for you, and it'll put your logo and your picture, and you can call your local title reps like Bobby and Mike, and they'll get you the all the addresses in the neighborhood of the house that you're just getting ready to list, and you can do the just listed, or you can just start. One of the questions we got, Bobby and Mike, is how do I start to actually farm a neighborhood? If I've never farmed a neighborhood, what do you recommend? I've picked a neighborhood out. Now what? Either of you guys want to take that
Yeah,
one?
you know what? I don't know. That's a complicated question. And when we dove in that, I guess you got to make sure the opportunity cost is there. I've heard when people ask about farms, how many should I send out? I've heard it needs to be at least 600. Um, and it needs, I guess everybody looks at, okay, the turnover rate area is enough turnover rate, but I've heard other things like saying, if the turnover rates are already good, you might be late to the party.
Okay.
So like I said, that's a whole nother subject of presentation to be honest with you.
Yeah, so we have all kinds of different analytics too, right? So we got next likely seller type stuff like that matches up with different points of data and stuff like that. But the bottom line is that if you're going to go market that area, it's everything, right? Hopefully you're going to do an open house in that area. Hopefully you're going to door knock that area. Hopefully you got a social media ad going out to that area. Hopefully you got mailers going out to that area. It's not just one thing, right? It's not just a postcard. It's not just a letter. I have to do everything, and I have to do a little bit of everything. It's like a pie graph, but again, I got a little piece of everything. The door knocking, the cold calling in that area, social media. We got cool platforms that we use here that could push out really cool social media ads to that specific neighborhood, right? Facebook, Instagram ads, 15-second videos, or a carousel of pictures, or one single picture. But again, I got to bombard that thing, because what has to happen is when I'm walking through that local grocery store, or I'm at that local shindig at the park or whatever, and they say, "Hey, you're so and so realtor that sent me that thing," and then my kid was watching YouTube and your ad popped up on YouTube, and then I was scrolling through social media and you're everywhere, right? That's the idea. That's how we get known. And again, it doesn't take a lot of cost, because a social media ad is very cheap. Door knocking is pretty cheap, takes some time. A mailer or a door knock mailer, whatever it may be, we could do a lot of that stuff without a lot of cost. Obviously, the more money we have, the better the opportunity. But I could do a lot of that stuff if I'm just getting into a neighborhood, or I'm just getting into the business. Because again, when that person answers the door, it's got to get in the database. When they reply back to me and say, "Hey, come and give me a valuation of my home," they list or don't list, they got to get into the database. No matter what, they going back to the database. It's all about the database. But again, if I don't have the database, I tell them don't farm. Don't do anything. Don't even start.
Yeah, and a lot of times when the best neighborhoods to farm is your own neighborhood, because you will be the expert and you're walking your dog anyway. You're at that local park. So be local, because people are already seeing you at the grocery store. So and then the more of an expert you can give, and be giving advice on social, just posting the new listings, or when there's a sale. Hey, did you guys see the house over? Even if you didn't make the sale, you can still promote. Hey, did you guys see what just sold on Tyndall Street? And kind of take it from there.
We have a lot of, and that's one thing we focus on a lot, Brandon. You've probably seen our social medias, market statistics. Every week we're running market data, and it's geared for the real estate community, right? Because not everybody is watching the market as it moves. You look back in 6 months and you're like, "Oh wow, the market did this," or 3 months ago it was doing this. We put out a weekly market update just for that reason. It shows you what the market's doing inventory wise, pendings. What are the pendings doing? We're looking at average days on market weekly. We're watching this stuff weekly. And that's what we push on all of our clients, to be the market expert. I tell them, look, they're not watching, your clients aren't watching my videos. They're watching your people. They're watching your videos. They want to see you. You are the market expert. So if you don't have that data, figure out where you can get that data in your local market, because every homeowner wants to know what the real estate market is doing from the local professional. Zillow, TrulyARealtor.com, they got great guesstimates, which brings me to the next topic, is what is the value of a realtor? Unless you're in a transaction, it's almost zero value. You have no value to me if I'm not in a transaction. But the real value the real estate agent has is they know what the market's doing, or they should know what the market's doing, or they know the exact value of a home, right? Zillow, TrulyARealtor.com are always lagging behind real time, right? The market's hot, they're down here. The market's down, they're up here, right? I mean, Zillow had all these global Golden Globe Awards of predicting all these different valuations, and then a few years back they lost hundreds of millions of dollars because they didn't have their algorithms right, because they're not local. That is the real value of a realtor. They know how to value a property, and we need to get inside the house to see if you've done any upgrades or updates, because I could probably get you more money, right? That is the value of a real estate professional if we're not in a transaction. So that is what we got to lean on. That's why market statistics and knowing what the market's doing is super valuable. Right behind that database, that next step is knowing what the market's doing. Because when agents have conversations, you hear it all the time. How's the market? And it's great, it's unbelievable, it's it's in the toilet, it's in the dump, whatever it may be. But there's no specifics, right? We doing the data that we know our median home sales prices in the years, in the inventory. What does that mean to the clients? What does it mean to the buyer? What does it mean to the seller? How's our foreclosure market looking here locally? So people understand where we're coming from. Is we had a median home sales price in the last peak of 2006. Our median home sales price here was $323,000. 2008 comes, 2009, in the Great Recession, and our price dropped 70%. So we went from $323,000 to $110,000 in a matter of 18 months, right? So the wheels came off. And 90% of every transaction that happened was a foreclosure. This was ground zero right here, man. I mean, we were in the dumps, the toilets, everything that was selling seemed like it was under $100,000. But again, our median home sales price was $110,000. Fast forward to today. right? 2025, it's the highest median home sales price we've ever had. We're up to $437,500. So it's the highest thing we've ever seen. And then people are asking, I see in maybe some of these comments here, what are your predictions for the market? I mean, I don't like to predict anything. You got to have degrees and all that stuff to be able to guess wrong. I don't have all those degrees to be able to predict all that madness. You know what I mean? But what I do
we haven't
have
earned the right to be wrong about this stuff yet.
Yeah. You gotta earn the right to be wrong for stuff like that. But the thing that we do is we always talk about what has happened, and we have that data, we have that statistics to let buyers, sellers, agents know what we've seen, and here's what hopefully could be happening. But we got all these different markets. One of the other questions on here I wanted to get to was the Airbnb. The vacation homes was one of our questions that people were talking about, and it just
How
depends
does
what
that play
market
into
you're in. Oh man, I tell you what. I mean, if you're in Nashville, Tennessee, right? I mean, it's probably still pretty good. You got a great rental market, a vacation rental market. If you're in Southern California in the Big Bear Lake area, that place has almost as much inventory as we do down here. They got about 20,000 homes in that mountain community, and they have almost 1,000 homes on the market, where we have 113,000 homes in our market, and we have about 1,000 homes on the market. You know what I mean? So that market has a ton of inventory because you got all these vacation rentals that are not getting rented, right? Everybody jumped into that rental market during that COVID. Well, now COVID's been lifted, people aren't renting these vacation homes anymore, and now they're just putting them on the market, or they're trying to get long-term rentals. So again, why I bring that up is you have to be the market expert in your area. Is a vacation rental good in your area? Where are you? It's a totally different question. But two products that people should be looking at is AirDNA, that will tell you what's happening in that rental market, what people are getting, how often they're getting rented. And another one is BNB Calc. BNB Calc does kind of the same thing, the different prices. They kind of do a couple different things from each other, but some things to lean on if you're looking for that rental market, vacation rental market statistics to try to figure out, is this a good market to do it? Are there any vacation rentals? What are people doing? Why are they here? What, stuff like that. So they have that data. There's data out there, but again, you gotta lean on stuff like that, but you gotta lean on your local market knowledge.
And you guys, playing off of that, there's a huge segment of business that a lot of realtors are just completely missing, and that's the real estate investors. If you have 500 people in your database, they say 10% of all people are investors, or currently investing, or at least want to. So at least 50 people in your database right now are interested in buying an investment property. And those that are already buying, some of them are buying 12 houses a year or more, and they're buying local properties in your neighborhood to rent out. So you could be representing them just as easy as you're representing the normal buyer and seller. But we're not, a lot of us are not going after that investor property. And all you have to do is shoot your old database and email and let them know, hey, are any chance you're interested in investing in real estate? I would love to sit down and talk to you about it. And you will get replies, because so many people right now know, hey, that's a great investing in assets. That's what we're all hearing, assets, and that's real estate. And so there are people in your database right now wanting to buy, that already own a home. You may have sold them a house, or there might just be some of you, but really, you can go after that investment industry really hard, and there's not a lot of realtors focused on that. So it's a great one for you to hit your database with and start talking up. Even if you're not interested in selling or buying, are you interested in buying an investment property? And you can get the wheels turning, and they may know I'm not, but my friend is, and he was just asking if I knew an agent, and so those things happen all the time just by getting the conversations started with those emails or texts, and it's that easy is just to send an email to your database, but you have to push the send button.
And it's always, we keep talking about trying to get more sales. It's not always about that, because they're not always ready to sell, or they're not thinking about that. Sometimes it's just, like right now, I'm going around to office right now, and we put a nice little booklet together. It's estate planning for your real estate, but from a title perspective, how we look at power of attorneys, how we look at trust, how we look at wills, how we get the transfer and death deed. one of the worst things we see is, when we get an elderly person come in our office and say, I have my spouse just passed away. I can't afford this house anymore, but I gotta sell it. And then I go look at the title. Well, for some reason you deed it off. Now I gotta tell her, they gotta go to probate. And it's just that kind of stuff is a good thing, because once I give that class, a lot of the people, shoot, I need to call my client and talk to them and find out if they got anything in a trust. Not that they're advising anybody, but they're saying, hey, this could happen. Because again, title is important. Title really is important, because people make so many mistakes. Hey, I always tell Mike and joke. I said, hey, as long as everybody can record whatever they want, we're always going to have a job, because more times than not, they get advice from somebody that just knows enough to get them in trouble. Just recording things. So again, it doesn't always have to be. I was talking about, hey, who do you know? Who do you know? How about, because remember, they're not past clients, they're clients.
Yes,
Clients.
yes, good one. Yeah, I think that's the people's head right there so much, and yeah, when the transaction happens, that's just the beginning. Now it's time for you to really start working, and we're getting a lot of questions about transactions as well. So I'm gonna show you all the transaction management just real quick to answer a few of these questions. So yeah, in Wise Agent, of course. The marketing is a huge piece, and we have other marketing tools that we can go into, but the transaction management is also a big piece. And so then that's basically setting up checklists, you guys. And so we start off with templates that we've already done the work for you. You can go in and look at our templates for buyers or commercial or seller, and take and use those and add to them, or build off of those, I would say. And then once you start using them, and when you log into the front page, as you scroll down, there's going to be a section called your hot list, and this is going to show you all the sellers or the buyers that you are working with. And when going back to those NAR statistics, one of the things that we see over and over again is the sellers feel like, and the buyers feel like, hey, I listed my house with them, and then I didn't hear from them again until I got an offer. They got it sold, but they didn't communicate with me throughout the transaction, and so they're feeling like you weren't doing anything to earn your money. And so these checklists not only organize your business, but they also take care of that huge problem. So when I click on any transaction I'm working on, now I'm just zeroed in on that one property, and I can see all the details. And this is totally customizable, so you can track as many things as you want on here. And this is for the rest of your career. Now you're going to know every detail about every transaction you did when you're using these. But as you go through, and it's walking you through on a seller to do everything, or on the buyer, and you check things off, when you check that off, now that can have what we call a trigger right behind it. And so when I go put the sign up in the front yard, and I check that box off so I can have a record of when I did it, well, not only did I check it off here, but in the background, I've already created an email. And so that email just sent off to my seller and said, hey, Mr. Seller, I just want to let you know I hung a sign up in your front yard today, and that's going to help us generate more traffic. The colors I use are white and red, or red and blue, whatever it is, because that attracts attention. And then at the same time, when I check that off, it's also going to send a text to my partner, if I have one, or my assistant, and say, hey, the sign is up. Now it's time for you to go put the flyers in the box. And when she goes and checks off that she put the flyers in the box, it's going to send an email to the client and let them know, hey, we stopped by today and put a flyer in the box. So instead of them saying you're doing all these things, putting a lockbox on, making flyers, all these things you do for them that you don't tell them, now they won't be able to say, I got no communication from the time they listed it until I got a contract. Every day that you're doing something on that listing, and every time you mark off a checkbox or with the buyer, it's going to send the buyer some kind of email or text to let them know you've done something to help their cause. And then as you scroll down those checklists, there's a whole section where you can track all the important contacts. So you're going to know, who was my title company 5 years ago? Who was my inspector, appraiser? So you never have to waste time when 3 years from now the client calls you back and asks for that info. There's also a spot for all your document storage and your transaction notes. And the notes just on the transactions are just as important on the contacts. Every time you talk to a contact, or during a transaction, you want to jot down a little note, and it'll always put a date and a timestamp just so you have an ongoing record of everything you did. And then, of course, we also integrate it with all the other big transaction platforms to make it easy if your broker is requiring you to use those. But that was one thing on the questions that we were getting a lot. And the other thing I saw about flyers. So yes, we do have flyers as well, and that's just an easy another piece of the program that you can use this to create your flyers that you're going to put in those boxes. So a lot of different tools live in your CRM, and they're all there and they all work together. And when you do one thing, it's adding notes in another section. So it's really a system that is put together for you. You just have to start using it, and it will create business for you.
Yeah, some of those platforms that that are using it for AI, jump into little AI stuff, is one I just jumped on not too long ago was called Hey Gen, and it was a really cool app, and you're able to it's your AI avatar, right? So so you know, in a nutshell, like you say a 2-minute sentence, right? So I'm Mike Arias, I work for Chicago Title. You don't move your hands above your head, right? So you're just talking for 2 minutes, and then it uses that gesture and then dials your mouth in to whatever you type out. So what was really cool about this stuff, if I want to do videos, I could type whatever I want, and it's going to move me and talk, and it sounds like my voice and everything. It's unbelievable. Then after that one stops, then it goes right into Spanish. And I don't speak Spanish. I'm full Hispanic, but I don't speak any Spanish. But now it goes and repeats what everything I just said, because I copy and paste it in Spanish and put it into the app. And now it blurts everything out in Spanish. I can do it in any different language. So this AI stuff, these AI avatars, super cool product. But that one, like I said, I just jumped on, was called Hey Gen. But you're starting to see a lot more of this stuff. So I think it's great for people that don't like to get in front of the camera. So if you're able to sit there in front, turn the camera on, and just talk for 2 minutes, you could sit there, and then from that, I mean, I could do it a couple different times, a couple different shirts. And then from that, whatever I type in and want it to say, it's going to do it for me. But again, my hands are kind of moving. It uses my gestures as I'm talking. It's unbelievable, man. The AI avatars, you got to look into that stuff.
Lots of cool AI tools coming out that we're all hearing about, you guys. But don't get too caught up in having to use that. A lot of what we're seeing is working right now is what they call back to the basics. And so that's the open houses, the shaking hands, the sending the emails, the text, the things.
Can I say one thing about that back to basics? So one of my closest friends, Tony Smith, he's the vice president of Mike Ferry, and you know, I'll frequently talk about stuff like that. And he goes, you know, it really drives me crazy when people say back to the basics, because you know, the basics are the only things that work. The basic things are the only thing that work, and we need to stick with that stuff. The other stuff is, I don't want to say it's noise. You can do a little bit of that, but if you're not doing the basic stuff, it's you know, it's not working. Again, that's what Mike and I do every day. We're out there shaking hands and kissing babies. I mean, obviously we like to get on our social media, send email and whatnot, but you know, it is a relationship business, and people use who they like.
You should never go back to the basics. They should never leave you can add on to it, but get the basics. I think that's really the point there. Hey, this hour flew by. Bobby and Mike, thank you so much for being our guest today. We're gonna put their all their contact information in the video and send it out when we send the email out, so you guys can reach out to Bobby and Mike. They have contacts all around the country. So yeah, they're in California, but if you need title reps anywhere else that are at that almost at the same level as them, they'll be able to recommend.
All we have is superstars at Chicago Title.
There you go. And then we'll be sending out the recording. And of course, we're here for all your questions. And if we didn't get to anything, let us know. We have a team standing by, and we can schedule one-on-one Zooms. We'll help you get started. We help you do the onboarding. Whatever you all need, we're here for you. Let's get out there and build some relationships. Hey, thank you all.
Thanks, Brandon.
Have a great rest of the day. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Bobby.
See you guys.